The year was 2347. Humanity had traveled far from Earth. They had built colonies on 12 different star systems. They had met aliens. They had joined something called the Galactic Council. But among 300 different species in the galaxy, humans were nothing special. They were average. They were ordinary. They were forgettable. Dr. Sam Mitchell did not feel special as he walked through the cold metal halls of the research station called Horizon's Edge. He was a brain scientist. He studied how minds worked. For the past 6 months, he had been studying artifacts from a dead world. The world was called. The beings who once lived there had disappeared 1,000,000 years ago. No one knew why. No one knew where they went. Sam entered the research lab and found his colleague already there. Dr. Palmer stood over a table covered with strange objects. They were made of a material that no one could identify. The objects glowed with a soft blue light that never faded. "You look tired," said without looking up. "I did not sleep well," Sam replied. He walked to his workstation and sat down. "I kept dreaming about the artifacts, strange dreams. I could hear voices, but I could not understand what they were saying." Finally looked at him. Her eyes showed concern. "I have been having similar dreams. So has half the crew. The observer thinks we should stop the research." The observer was named Al. He was tall and thin with silver skin and 4 eyes. They were one of the oldest species in the galaxy. They thought they knew everything. They thought humans were children playing with dangerous toys. "We are not stopping," Sam said firmly. "We are close to something. I can feel it." They worked in silence for hours. Sam ran tests, took measurements. The artifacts remained mysterious. They gave off energy, but it was not any kind of energy that science could explain. The readings made no sense. The numbers changed every time they looked at them. Then, at exactly 3:47 in the afternoon, everything changed. Picked up the largest artifact. It was shaped like a pyramid, about the size of her fist. The moment her fingers touched it, the blue glow became white. The light became so bright that Sam had to cover his eyes. He shouted, "Put it down." But she could not. Her hands were frozen in place. The light spread from the pyramid to her body. She began to float off the ground. Her eyes turned completely white. Then the wave hit. It came out of like an explosion, but it made no sound. Sam felt it pass through him like wind through leaves. It was warm. It was cold. It was everything and nothing at the same time. For one moment, he felt connected to something vast and ancient and powerful. The wave spread through the entire station. It passed through walls and floors and ceilings. It touched every human on board. Then it was gone. Fell to the ground. The pyramid rolled away from her hand. The blue glow returned to normal. Sam rushed to her side. "Are you okay? Can you hear me?" She opened her eyes. They were normal again. "I heard them," she whispered. They were waiting. They have been waiting for so long." Before Sam could ask what she meant, the alarm started. Red lights flashed. The station's computer announced that there had been an energy surge. Medical teams were needed everywhere. Over the next 3 days, Sam learned what the wave had done. Not everyone was affected. The observer, Al, felt nothing. Neither did Eth, the scientist who was part of the research team. There were a species that loved science more than anything else. Eth was disappointed that the wave had ignored him completely. But the humans were different. Lieutenant Cole was the first to show signs. He was eating dinner in the cafeteria when his fork began to float. He stared at it. It moved to the left. It moved to the right. It did whatever he wanted it to do just by thinking. "What is happening to me?" he asked, his voice shaking. Engineer Lisa Warren came to the medical bay with a different problem. She could see things that were not there. Colors around machines. Colors around people. It took hours to understand that she was seeing electromagnetic fields. She could see the energy that flowed through wires and circuits and living bodies. Sam discovered his own ability by accident. He was talking to when he suddenly heard her voice twice, once out loud and once inside his head. The voice in his head was saying different words. "You are worried about me," Sam said slowly. "You think this might kill us." His face went pale. "I did not say that." "No, but you thought it." He could hear thoughts. Not all thoughts, not from everyone. But when emotions were strong, when people were scared or happy or angry, their thoughts were like radio signals that Sam could pick up. Within a week, 37 humans on the station had shown new abilities. Some were small. One man could make tiny sparks with his fingers. One woman could see in complete darkness. But some were large. Cole could now lift heavy objects with his mind. A young pilot named Tony Park could run calculations faster than the station's computers. Al demanded a meeting with Sam, and his 4 eyes were filled with something Sam had never seen in a before: fear. "You must destroy those artifacts," Al said. "You do not know what you have done." "What have we done?" asked. Al was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was barely a whisper. "They did not die. They did not disappear. They ascended. They became something beyond physical form. They became like gods, and those artifacts you found are keys to the same transformation." "But the wave affected only humans," Sam said. "It did not touch you or Ev." "Yes," Al replied. "That is what frightens me. The keys were not made for. They were not made for any species in the Galactic Council. They were made for you, for humans. The question is why? Why would they create keys that only humans could use? What did they know about your species that we do not?" Sam had no answer, but deep inside, in a place he did not fully understand, he felt something stir, something old, something that had been sleeping for a very long time. And now, finally, it was waking up. The news spread across human space like fire through dry grass. Within 1 month, everyone knew about the awakening. Scientists studied the energy wave. They learned how to copy it. They built machines that could create the same effect. Awakening stations opened on every human colony world. People lined up by the thousands. They wanted powers. They wanted to be special. They wanted to become something more than human. Not everyone was changed. Only about 1 in 3 humans gained abilities after exposure to the energy. Scientists could not explain why some people woke up and others did not. It seemed random. A farmer might gain incredible powers while a brilliant scientist felt nothing at all. Commander Danny Brooks stood in his office on Earth and looked at reports from across the colonies. He was in charge of the Earth Defense Fleet. His job was to keep humanity safe. But now, he did not know what safety even meant anymore. The abilities were different for everyone. Some people could move things with their minds. Some could heal wounds with a touch. Some could see the future, though only a few seconds ahead. Some could create fire from nothing. Some could make themselves invisible. And then there was the girl from Mars. Her name was Hayes. She was only 17 years old. She lived in a small dome city on the Red Planet. When the awakening wave touched her, something extraordinary happened. She teleported. One moment she was standing in her bedroom. The next moment she was on the other side of the city. She had moved through space itself. She had folded the distance between 2 points and stepped across it like walking through a door. Danny watched the video of her ability for the 100th time, stood in a testing room. She closed her eyes. She disappeared. She reappeared 20 meters away. No flash of light, no sound, just gone and then back. "This changes everything," Danny said to himself. The alien species were watching too. The Galactic Council had observers on every human world. They reported back to their governments. They shared data and videos and measurements. And as the weeks passed, their reactions became more extreme. They were afraid. They sent a formal demand to the human government: stop the awakening, destroy the machines, seal away the artifacts. They said that humanity was playing with forces beyond their understanding. They said it would end badly for everyone. They were fascinated. They sent requests for research partnerships. They wanted to study the awakened humans. They wanted to know how the energy worked. They wanted to see if their own species could be affected somehow. But they said nothing at all. They were a warrior species. They had conquered 12 systems before joining the Galactic Council. They had only stopped fighting because the Council made them. And now, for the first time in centuries, they were moving their warships toward human space. Back on Earth, Palmer made a discovery that changed everything. She had been studying awakened humans for months. She took blood samples. She scanned brains. She mapped DNA. And then she found something impossible. "Sam," she said, calling him on the communication system, "you need to see this, right now." Sam arrived at her lab an hour later. He had been on the moon, helping train newly awakened humans to control their powers. He still looked tired. He always looked tired now. Reading thoughts was exhausting work. Showed him the data on her screen. It was a DNA sequence. It looked normal at first, but pointed to a specific section. "This part here," she said, "it is not human." "What do you mean?" "I mean this section of DNA does not match any species on Earth. It does not match apes or fish or birds or bacteria. It is completely foreign. It has been in human DNA for millions of years, but it is not from Earth." Sam stared at the screen. "Are you saying someone put it there?" "Yes, someone modified human DNA a very long time ago, long before we had writing or tools or language. Someone visited Earth and changed our ancestors. They added this code, and the code is what the energy activates. It is what gives us our powers." "Who would do that? Why?" Looked at him with eyes full of wonder and fear. It had to be them. They were advanced enough to become gods. Building a little code into some primitive apes would be nothing for them. Sam sat down heavily in a chair. His mind was racing. If was right, then humanity was not a natural species. They were engineered. They were designed. They were created for a purpose that no one understood. "We need to tell the Council," Sam said. "No," replied quickly. "Think about what they will do. They are already afraid of us. If they learn that we were designed to become like they will try to destroy us." She was right. Sam knew she was right. But keeping this secret felt wrong. It felt like a bomb waiting to explode. Across the galaxy, the awakening continued. More humans gained powers every day. And those who already had powers were getting stronger. Cole could now lift entire vehicles with his mind. Lisa Warren could see energy signatures from kilometers away. Tony Park had calculated a new form of mathematics that no one else could understand. On Mars, Hayes was practicing her teleportation. She started by jumping across rooms, then across buildings, then across cities. One day, without really meaning to, she jumped to one of the moons of Mars. She appeared in space in a place where no human could survive. But she did not die. She did not even feel cold. She simply looked at Mars below her, took a breath of air that should not exist, and jumped back to the planet. The awakening was not just giving humans powers. It was changing what humans were. It was making them into something new. Something that did not need air to breathe or food to eat. Something that could survive in the void of space. Something that was starting to look very much like a god. In his office, Danny Brooks read the report about Hayes. He read about her survival in space. He read about the growing strength of the awakened. And for the first time in his military career, he felt a fear that had nothing to do with enemy ships or alien weapons. He was afraid of his own people. He was afraid of what they were becoming. And deep down, in a place he would never admit to anyone, he was also a little bit afraid of what it meant that he had been exposed to the energy 3 times now and had felt nothing at all. Some humans were becoming gods, but Danny Brooks was staying human, and he was not sure which fate was worse. Ambassador Chris Taylor had never been more nervous in his entire life. He stood in the center of the Galactic Council chamber, surrounded by representatives from 300 different species. The room was vast. The ceiling was so high that clouds sometimes formed near the top. Each species had its own section, filled with floating platforms and strange furniture designed for bodies that did not look anything like human bodies. Today, the chamber was not friendly. Today, the air felt thick with anger and fear. The High Commander spoke first. His name was Orr. He was 3 meters tall with green scales and 4 arms. Each arm ended in claws that could cut through steel. His voice was deep and rough like stones grinding together. "Humans have committed an act of war," Orr announced. 3 of our scout ships were destroyed near the border. 47 soldiers are dead. The ships were killed by awakened humans using their unnatural powers. The chamber erupted in noise. Clicks and whistles and roars filled the air. Every species was talking at once. Chris waited for the noise to die down. Then he spoke calmly. The ships were not on patrol. They had crossed into human space. They were attempting to capture human citizens for experimentation. Our people defended themselves. "Lies," or growled. "We were conducting a peaceful survey." "I have evidence," Chris said. He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed the inside of a ship. It showed cages designed to hold humans. It showed medical equipment meant for cutting and testing. The chamber went silent. Chris continued. A group of awakened humans detected the ships. They sensed the fear of human colonists who had been taken. They responded. The ships were disabled. The colonists were rescued. The deaths occurred when some soldiers refused to surrender. Or scales turned a darker shade of green. In body language, this meant extreme anger. "You admit it then. Your people have become weapons. They can sense minds across space. They can destroy warships with a thought. How long before they decide that the entire galaxy is their enemy?" "We have no desire for conquest," Chris said. "Your desires do not matter," the representative spoke up. "The transformation is beyond your control. Your people are changing. They are becoming something dangerous, something that could threaten all life in the galaxy." The debate went on for hours. Chris defended humanity as best he could, but he could see the fear in alien eyes. Even the species who had been friendly toward humans were now pulling back. The awakening had changed everything. Back on Earth, a different kind of change was happening. Brandon Hayes stood on a stage in front of a crowd of 50,000 people. All of them were awakened. All of them had come to hear him speak. He was 35 years old with dark hair and eyes that seemed to glow with inner light. His power was unusual. He could not move objects or read minds or teleport. Instead, he could see patterns. He could look at any situation and understand how everything connected. He could see the shape of the future. "Brothers and sisters," Brandon said, his voice carrying across the crowd without any microphone. "We have been given a gift that the universe itself prepared for us. We are not random. We are not accidents. We were designed to become this. We were created to ascend." The crowd cheered. "The aliens fear us. They want us to stay small. They want us to remain human, but we are already more than human. We are the next step in evolution. We are the children of and like our creators, we will become beings of pure energy and thought. We will become gods." More cheering. Some people in the crowd were crying. Some were floating off the ground, lifted by their own powers or the powers of those around them. Brandon raised his hands. "The old humans want us to be careful. They want us to go slowly, but our transformation cannot be stopped. Every day we grow stronger. Every day more of us awaken. The council says we are dangerous. They are right. We are dangerous to their old way of thinking. We are dangerous to anyone who wants to keep the universe frozen and dead. We are the fire that will burn away the darkness." Among the crowd, Sam Mitchell watched with growing concern. He had come to see Brandon speak, to understand what this movement was about. What he found scared him. Brandon was not wrong about everything. Humans were changing. The awakening was accelerating. Sam himself was far more powerful now than he had been a year ago. He could read the thoughts of everyone in this crowd at the same time. He could feel their emotions like waves on an ocean. But Brandon was also reckless. He did not care about the aliens. He did not care about the unawakened humans who might be caught in the middle. He only cared about ascension. He only cared about becoming something beyond flesh and blood. After the speech Sam found in the crowd, she looked troubled too. "The projections are worse than I thought," she said quietly. "I ran the numbers again. At the current rate of acceleration, within 50 years, the average awakened human will have power equal to a small star." "That is impossible," Sam said. "No, it is inevitable. Whatever the put in our DNA, it is still activating. We are not at the end of this transformation. We are at the beginning." Sam looked back at the stage where Brandon was greeting his followers, and Brandon wants to speed it up even more. He has millions of followers now. They call themselves the Ascended. They believe the transformation should happen as fast as possible. Some of them have stopped eating. They say they do not need food anymore. They say their power sustains them. Are they right? Paused. For some of them, yes. The strongest awakened humans can survive on energy alone. They are already starting to shed their biological needs. Sam felt a chill that had nothing to do with temperature. Humanity was standing at the edge of a cliff. They could step back. They could try to slow down, or they could jump and hope they learned to fly before they hit the ground. A message came through on his communicator. It was from Chris Taylor on the council station. "The vote did not go well," Chris said. His face looked gray and tired. "The council is forming an alliance against us. And about 100 other species. They are not attacking yet, but they are preparing. They are building a fleet larger than anything the galaxy has ever seen." "What do they want?" Sam asked. "They want us to stop the awakening. They want us to destroy the artifacts. They want us to go back to being ordinary humans." Chris paused. "And if we refuse, they want to make sure there are no humans left at all." Sam ended the call. He looked at, she had heard everything. "We cannot go back," she said softly. "Even if we destroy the machines and the artifacts, the transformation will continue. It is in our DNA now. It is who we are." "I know," Sam replied. "So we need to find another way, a way to show them that we are not their enemy, a way to prove that gods can be kind." But as he said the words, he was not sure he believed them himself, because some of the awakened were not kind at all. Some of them looked at aliens the same way that humans once looked at insects. And insects, Sam knew, were very easy to crush. The fleet arrived at New Haven on a Tuesday morning. The colony world had 3 million human residents. Most of them were still asleep when the first ships appeared in the sky. Or commanded the invasion from his flagship. He had brought 500 warships. He had brought 200,000 soldiers. He had brought weapons that could burn cities to ash in seconds. The Galactic Council had not officially approved this attack, but they had not stopped it either. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen. "Begin the landing," or ordered. Fell from the sky like metal rain. They carried soldiers armed with plasma rifles and energy blades. They carried tanks and artillery. They carried enough firepower to conquer a dozen human worlds. The first touched down on the outskirts of the capital city. Soldiers poured out, weapons ready. They expected to find humans running in fear. They expected easy victory. Instead, they found Cole. She was 23 years old. She had brown hair and green eyes. She stood alone in the middle of a street wearing ordinary clothes. No armor, no weapons, just a young woman facing an army. The commander on the ground laughed. "Kill her," he ordered. 100 plasma rifles fired at once. The air turned white with energy. The street where stood was vaporized. Smoke and dust filled the air. When it cleared, was still standing. She had not moved. She had not even blinked. "My turn," she said quietly. She raised her hand. The soldiers felt something wrong. Their weapons stopped working. Their vehicles went silent. Every piece of technology they had brought suddenly became dead metal and plastic. Had reached out with her mind and turned off every fusion reactor in the invasion fleet, every ship, every vehicle, every weapon that needed power, all of it was gone. In orbit, or watched his displays go dark one by one, his flagship was falling. All 500 of his ships were falling. 200,000 soldiers were now stranded with equipment that would never work again. "Impossible," he whispered. On the ground, spoke to the soldiers. Her voice carried across the entire battlefield, not through speakers but directly into their minds. "You came to kill us. You came to conquer our home. I could destroy you all right now. I could turn you to dust with a thought, but I am not going to do that. I am going to let you live. I am going to let you go home. And I want you to tell your leaders something. Tell them that we did not ask for this power. Tell them that we do not want war, but if they come for us again, we will not be so merciful." The soldiers dropped their useless weapons. Some of them fell to their knees. They had never known fear like this. They had conquered worlds. They had killed millions. And now a single human woman had defeated their entire army without breaking a sweat. Human rescue ships arrived hours later. They collected the stranded soldiers. They repaired enough ships to send them home. 50,000 prisoners were returned to the Empire. Not one human had died in the battle. The galaxy watched in horror. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Representatives from all 300 member species gathered in the Great Chamber. The air was heavy with fear and anger. Everyone was talking at once. Al, who had witnessed the First Awakening, asked for permission to speak. The chamber went quiet. "I have watched humanity since the beginning of this transformation," he said. "I have seen them gain powers that we cannot understand. I have seen them become something that looks very much like the ancient gods of our legends, but I have also seen something else." He paused, looking around the chamber. At New Haven, a single human defeated an entire invasion fleet. She had the power to kill every soldier. She did not. She let them live. She sent them home. This is not the behavior of a species that wants to conquer the galaxy. This is the behavior of a species that is trying very hard to remain good. Or stood up angrily. "She humiliated us. She made us look weak." "She showed mercy," Al replied, "when she had every right to show none. They attacked without provocation. They intended genocide, and still she let them live." The representative, Eth, spoke up. "I have studied the awakening extensively. The humans are not choosing this transformation. It is happening to them. Their DNA was modified millions of years ago by They are simply becoming what they were designed to become. Punishing them for this is like punishing water for being wet." But most of the council was not convinced. The fear was too great. The power they had witnessed was too extreme. The vote was called. The question was simple. Should the council invoke the extinction protocol? Should all member species unite to destroy humanity before humanity destroyed them? 300 species voted. 194 voted yes. 106 voted no. The extinction protocol passed. The largest military alliance in galactic history began to form. 243 species contributed ships and soldiers. The fleet that gathered was beyond imagination. 10 million warships, weapons that could crack planets, armies that numbered in the billions. All of it pointed at Earth. On Earth, the awakened gathered. They came from every colony. They came from ships and stations and distant outposts. 2 billion awakened humans, and more were waking up every day. Brandon Hayes spoke to his followers. His ascended were the most powerful among the awakened. They no longer needed food or water or air. Some of them were starting to glow with inner light. Some of them were becoming transparent, as if their physical forms were fading away. "The time has come," Brandon announced. "The aliens have chosen war. They have chosen extinction. But they cannot destroy what we are becoming. We will merge our consciousness. We will become one being of infinite power. We will remake the galaxy in our image." Sam Mitchell listened to Brandon's words with a heavy heart. He understood the temptation. He felt the pull toward ascension, but he also felt something else. He felt the fear of the aliens. He felt their pain and their desperation. They were not evil. They were just scared. They were looking at humanity and seeing the end of everything they knew. "There has to be another way," Sam said too. "If we destroy them, if we conquer them, we prove that they were right to be afraid. We become the monsters they think we are." "What choice do we have?" asked. "They are coming to kill us, all of us, the awakened and the unawakened, the guilty and the innocent." "I do not know yet, but I will find it. I have to find it." The alien fleet entered human space, 10 million ships moving in perfect formation. They passed the outer colonies without stopping. They were heading straight for Earth. They were heading for the heart of human civilization. And in the back of Sam's mind, a memory stirred. Something from the artifacts, a whisper of ancient knowledge that he had absorbed without realizing it. They had not destroyed the species who feared them. They had done something else, something that changed everything. Sam just needed to remember what it was. The alien fleet entered the solar system on a morning that Earth would never forget. 10 million ships blocked out the stars. The sky turned dark with metal and fire. Every human on the planet looked up and saw death coming for them. The awakened gathered on every continent. They stood in fields and on mountains and in city squares. 2 billion humans with powers that grew stronger every hour. Some could destroy planets with a thought. Some could move faster than light. Some could see through time itself. Brandon Hayes floated above his followers, his body glowing so brightly that he was hard to look at directly. His ascendant had grown to 10 million strong. They were ready to merge. They were ready to become something beyond individual minds. "The moment is here," Brandon called out. "Join with me. Let go of your separate selves. Become the God that we were always meant to be." The ascended began to reach for each other with their minds. Light connected them like threads of pure energy. They started to lose their individual shapes. They started to become one. Sam Mitchell stood apart from them. Palmer was at his side. So were Cole and his sister. So were many of the original awakened from the horizon's edge. "We cannot let Brandon do this," Sam said. "If he creates a god and uses it to destroy the fleet, the war will never end. Every species in the galaxy will fight us forever. They will see us as monsters." "Then what do we do?" asked. "The fleet will be in weapons range in 6 hours. They have planet crackers. They can destroy Earth itself." Sam closed his eyes. He reached deep into his mind, searching for the memory that had been bothering him. The knowledge was there, hidden in corners of his brain that he rarely visited. He pushed through layers of thoughts and fears and hopes. And then he found it. "Connection," Sam whispered. "They did not destroy their enemies. They did not run away. They connected. They shared their minds with every species that feared them. They showed them the truth." Understood immediately. "You want to link with the aliens, all of them. That is billions of minds. That is impossible." "Not for me alone, but all of us together." Sam looked at the awakened who stood with him. "We have power that we have barely started to understand. We have been using it to lift objects and read thoughts and teleport across space. But the real power is connection. The new this. They built it into our DNA." Cole stepped forward. "What do you need us to do?" "Help me reach them. Not with weapons, not with force, with truth. Let them see who we really are. Let them feel what we feel." Closed her eyes. She had the most raw power of anyone present. She reached out toward the alien fleet, not to destroy but to touch. She found millions of minds filled with fear and hatred and determination. "I can feel them," she said. "They are terrified. They think we are going to kill them all." "Then show them they are wrong," Sam replied. "Show them everything." The awakened joined hands, not physically but mentally. Their minds linked together like pieces of a puzzle. Sam felt power flowing through him that made his previous abilities seem like nothing. He reached out to the fleet. The aliens felt it immediately. Every being on every ship suddenly experienced something they had never felt before. They felt human thoughts. They felt human memories. They felt what it was like to be born as a small, crying baby. They felt what it was like to grow up and fall in love and lose people they cared about. They felt human joy and human sorrow and human hope. And the humans felt the aliens in return. Sam experienced life as with 4 eyes that saw colors humans could not imagine. He experienced life as with a mind that found beauty in equations and formulas. He experienced life as with a warrior heart that valued honor above all else. For one eternal moment, every mind in the solar system was connected. There were no aliens. There were no humans. There were only thinking beings who wanted to live and love and find meaning in the universe. In the fleet, weapons powered down. Soldiers lowered their arms. Commanders stared at their displays with tears running down faces that had never known tears before. Or the High Commander who had led the invasion of New Haven fell to his knees. He had felt Cole's mind directly. He had experienced her choice to show mercy when she could have shown destruction. He understood now what he had not understood before. Humans were not monsters. They were not conquerors. They were just another species trying to find their way in a universe that was too large and too strange for any single mind to comprehend. On Earth, Brandon Hayes watched the connection happen. His Ascended had paused their merging. They too had felt the link. They too had experienced the alien minds. "This changes nothing," Brandon said. "We can still ascend. We can still become gods." But his followers were pulling back. The connection had shown them something they had forgotten. It had shown them what it meant to be human, not the powers, not the transformation, but the ability to feel compassion for those who were different, the ability to choose kindness over strength. "You are wrong," a voice said. Brandon turned. A figure of pure light floated behind him. It took Sam a moment to recognize what he was seeing. It was or rather, it was what they had become. "We have watched you," the being said. "We have waited to see what path you would choose. Power is easy, destruction is easy, but connection is the hardest path of all, and you have chosen it." "What happens now?" Sam asked. "Now you grow, not just humans but all species. The transformation we built into your DNA was never meant for humans alone. It was meant to be shared. You are the key that unlocks the door, but the door opens for everyone." The being faded away, but its words remained in every mind that had felt the connection. In the years that followed, the awakening spread beyond humanity. It was slower for other species. It was harder, but it happened. Began to develop abilities. Found they could do things that science could not explain. Even though the proudest warriors in the galaxy started to change. The Galactic Council was dissolved. A new organization took its place. They called it the Ascended, in honor of Brandon Hayes and his followers. Brandon himself had chosen a different path in the end. He and his most devoted Ascended had merged with the cosmic background radiation, becoming part of the universe itself. They were gone, but they were also everywhere. Sam Mitchell and Palmer stayed behind. They had power that could shake stars, but they chose to remain in human form. They chose to guide the younger species through the transformation. They chose to teach what they had taught them. Power without wisdom was destruction. Strength without compassion was tyranny. But connection, true connection between all thinking minds, was the path to becoming something truly worthy of being called a god. On the 100th anniversary of the First Awakening, Sam stood on a hill on Earth and looked up at the stars. Beside him held his hand. Around them children played. Some were human. Some were alien. Some were something in between. "Do you think they knew this would happen?" asked. "I think they hoped," Sam replied. "They built the potential into our DNA, but they could not know what we would do with it. We could have chosen conquest. We could have chosen destruction. We chose connection instead. Was it the right choice? Sam watched a young girl chase a human boy across the grass. They were both laughing. They were both glowing slightly with inner light. "Look at them," he said. 100 years ago, their species voted to destroy us. Now their children play with our children. They share minds and dreams and hopes. Is that the right choice? I think it is the only choice that ever mattered. Leaned against him. So humans really did become gods. No, Sam said with a small smile. We became something better. We became guides, teachers, friends. We became the bridge that connected a galaxy full of lonely minds, that gave us the power of gods, but we chose to use it like humans. Above them, the stars burned with ancient light. Somewhere out there, new species were being born. New minds were starting to dream. And someday, when they were ready, humans would be there to help them awaken too. The universe was vast and old and full of wonders, and humanity had found its place within it, not as masters, not as servants, but as something in between. Something that was still becoming. Something that would never stop growing. Something that was, at last, exactly what it was always meant to be.